Hello everyone! Today I want to show you how to use the Fuzzingbook code in your own programs. The easiest way to interact with all the code in the book is actually going through Resources and then using Edit as Notebook. This invokes a so-called mybinder instance, a remote computer, in which you get access to a Jupyter Notebook that runs precisely the notebook that you're currently looking at. So right now we were in the Fuzzle chapter, and this is now going to start up an instance of Jupyter Notebook for the Fuzzle chapter. So what you see here now is a Jupyter Notebook view of the very chapter you have been looking at. So you can now actually go and click on individual cells in here. What we have here is a code cell, and by pressing Shift and Return, you immediately execute that very code that is in here. So you can now say scroll down and execute more code in there. So you also need to execute the cells that come above you. So we're having here an instance, a definition of the fuzzer function. And now, once we have defined this, we can go and execute it. And every time that we execute it, you'll see we get another random input here. Two important things to remember. One is you need to press Shift Return for every time you want to execute a code cell. And the second important thing to remember is that is also to execute the definitions of individual functions before you use them. And there's a simple way of actually doing that. If you go to kernel and go to restart and run all, then this actually means that all of the code is getting executed. You can see this here on the left-hand side. The red code is code that is still pending to be executed, and we now see actually that the whole notebook is being executed in here. And once all of these definitions have been executed, then you can actually scroll back to earlier parts, and then you can toy with things at your leisure. Get another fuzz, or get another identifier in here. There's also a help menu in the chapters that gets you access to a Jupyter Notebook tutorial in which you get more information about how to work with Jupyter Notebooks. The second way of interacting with these chapters is to actually download the code. You can either download the code directly, either individually for the chapter at hand, or all code at once. However, if you only want to use the code for your own projects, the easiest way actually is to install the appropriate Python package. So let me just do this for you. Here we have a command shell for your pleasure. And I can now enter pip install Fuzzingbook. Here we go. And this is going to install the Fuzzingbook code into your environment together with all the necessary requirements. You see that in this case, all the other packages are already installed on my box. And once you have done that, that's actually fun, you can just invoke your Python interpreter and then say from this is case sensitive, fuzzingbook.fuzzer. So we need to insert the appropriate name of the chapter here. And then you can import any identifier, say the fuzzer function, which we have just seen. I hope that works. And yes, it does. And now you have access to the fuzzer function and can again use this in your own programs at will. And it will happily produce one fuzz after the other. There are other ways of interacting. There are other ways of using this code in your own in your own programs. And we do have a link at the very beginning of each chapter how to use the Fuzzingbook code in your own programs. In particular, for some of the more advanced chapters, there's one important thing. You need to be, you also may need other packages to install. And there is a so-called requirements.txt package if you do a pip install -r requirements.txt, you get simply everything that's needed for running these things. And there's also a couple of extra non-Python packages which are not installed via pip install. And this is the biggie here is the GraphViz package, for which you need to say sudo apt-get install GraphViz if you're on a Linux system, or conda install GraphViz or brew install GraphViz if you are on a macOS system. With this, you should be all set. Finally, if you use Python for other projects as well, we also have instructions on how to use pyenv here and pipenv. This allows you to create a separate environment for the book, which is independent from the other environments. Have a look at our page on using the Fuzzingbook code in your own programs. Thank you very much.